The shocking truth about violent crime in Florida. Every single day in Florida, 20 people are the victims of rape. Every day, 37 people are violently robbed. Every day, 166 people are the victims of an aggravated assault. Every day, 228 people are the victim of a violent crime. It seems like our society is getting more and more dangerous every single day. With riots, food shortages, surging inflation, government lockdowns, and skyrocketing violent crime. What can the average Florida resident do to protect their loved ones? Introducing the Florida Concealed Carry Masterclass. How to become a safe and responsible concealed carry permit holder so that you can protect your family from evil. The Florida Concealed Carry Masterclass is dramatically different from anything else you'll find on the internet. Because I created this training specifically for first-time shooters who have little to no experience with firearms, who have a deep desire to become safe and responsible concealed carry permit holders. And today, you can have access to the Florida Concealed Carry Masterclass for free. So don't wait any longer. Take the very first step towards protecting yourself and your loved ones by clicking the Learn More button below.
Yes.
Hey, what is up, guys? Ryan G here. I got my buddy Joseph Yeager on the line. What's up, Joe?
How's it going, Monday Night Rebels?
Yes. If you guys could in the chat, because we kind of did this last minute, Tiff's got a headache. If you can tell me, can you hear Joe or not? Put it in the comments, whether you can hear Joe or not. I know his voice is super annoying. So you probably... Okay, so Joe, real quick, tell everybody who you are and why you're so awesome.
Why I'm so awesome will become obvious over the course of the call, but I am a student of Ryan now for about 2.5 years. You probably see me on some of the videos that he filmed, so that could be good or bad. And Ryan is also right now launching me and helping me in the Sarasota and Breton area to carry the gospel of the Tampa carry, legacy, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and really it's the mission of training people, right? Making sure that people get the proper firearm education and they really know what they can and can't do with a gun.
Safety and responsibility first.
Yeah.
And then eventually the bringing them into the sheepdog mindset.
Sure.
That it's not just about carrying the gun, but the how we want to represent the gun community is very important, even without a gun. So what we do without the gun, that also reflects on us.
Yeah, very, very true, right? So Tiff is, you guys will see her in the chat. Everybody say what's up to her. But Tiff has got a bad headache, and she's like, Ryan. This is how she talks to me when she's like, got a headache. She's like, Ryan, I don't want to do the live stream. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll text Joe and see if Joe will get on there to have somebody like balance me out a little bit. So thankfully, Joe was available and he was like, excited to be on here. So I think that was great. What were we going to say?
No, I said absolutely.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. So Tiff and I were just on a, when we were in Mexico about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we listened to this speaker. Joe, you might know this dude, but his name was like C.F. Lewis. I guess he was like a self-made billionaire back in like the 20s or 30s or something. But this guy, every single day when he woke up, he would audibly say, do it now, do it now, do it now. And he would say that 100 times every single day. And this is like back in the day where when you rode the elevator, somebody had to like operate it for you, right? And the elevator operator is like on record saying, he would get into the elevator and say, do it now, do it now, do it now. So Tiff and I heard this in Mexico. And one of the things that has always been in our heart to do is adopt kids. And we don't want to adopt like one. I mean, we will adopt one, but really, so here's when we were first dating, there was a group of foster care home that we like volunteered at and stuff. And that's kind of where we met. It's part of this inner city ministry. And the kids all got adopted by different families. There was like 3 or 4 of them. And they all got broken apart. They all got separated. So our goal is to like adopt multiples, right? So like a family of siblings or whatever. I told my boys today, they said, why do you want to adopt so many? And I said, because I want to start an army. I want when the neighborhood people see us coming down the street, they're like, get out of the way. The Thomases are coming. That's what I want. So we were just on like a training call or whatever you call it. I would probably not describe it as a training call, but yeah, that was the first step towards us adopting, which will be exciting. We probably need to go through and delete several hundred of my YouTube videos before we get too far in this process. Do you agree, Joe? It's probably a good idea. I don't know.
I'm cracking up now. Yeah, listen. If you can do away with them temporarily, at least.
Yeah.
And then once you got the kid.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Take it away from me?
That's it. Well, you never know.
I know. Very true. Right. All right. So let's jump into tonight's story. So first, Joe, really crazy one. This happened down south.
Yeah, the woman shot her.
Before I play the video. So this is a woman who held her husband hostage. Now, I've complained about Tiffany a lot, but one thing Tiffany has never done is grabbed a gun and held me hostage. So let's take a look at this video.
Yeah, the woman shot herself in front of deputies just about 2 hours ago. We are outside of the community because media was not allowed on property. But if you take a look at these photos from earlier, you could see crisis negotiators on scene. The sheriff's office says this morning deputies were called to a home in the Palm Coast Plantation community. A woman was holding her husband hostage in their home. He was able to get out of their bedroom, and deputies helped him and a 16-year-old get out safely. Then after 7 hours of negotiations, the woman shot herself in front of deputies and was taken to the hospital in critical condition.
It's extremely tough. She shot herself in front of deputy sheriffs. We did use less lethal trying to prevent that, but that was not successful. And, I talked to my team, my SWAT team, and they're shook up. This is not the outcome that we all pray for. We have a great record in this agency for de-escalating events like this, but it's much easier when people will communicate with you. And in this case, for 7 hours, she would not communicate.
Now, the Flagler County Sheriff said this woman did something similar previously in Brevard County. That standoff lasted 9 hours. So this morning they were in contact with Brevard County deputies to try to figure out how they can end this peacefully. Unfortunately, that did not happen. For now, reporting live in Palm Coast, Stephanie Buffmonte, Fox.
Okay, so what did you think about that story, Joe?
It's eerie as to how similar it is to a story. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. It's eerie as how similar the story is to one where I worked in the financial industry up in New York.
Okay.
And one of the lawyers I worked with was a retirement planning attorney, and we worked together for years. One day I opened the newspaper, New York Post, and I'm seeing this headline of this attorney stabbed to death by his spouse in their home.
Okay.
It was him.
No way.
It was him.
So
this is the first thing I'm thinking about when I see that story comes up.
Now, did you meet this dude's wife? Was she crazy or did she seem normal?
No, I'd never met the wife, and I didn't know anything about her. So it was reading in the paper, they described her as someone who was psychologically disturbed.
Okay.
And she needed therapy. So there was definitely something wrong. And later you find out what kind of relationships they had and the dynamics.
Sure.
So it sounds similar.
Yeah. One of the things that I find really interesting about this video that we just played is that they said that woman had held herself, or at least there was a standoff with her and law enforcement several years prior in a different city that lasted 9 hours. So what I find interesting is, where did the gun come from? So she committed suicide at the end, but where did she get the gun? Was it the husband's gun and he knew that the wife was like mentally ill and he did not, take the necessary steps to secure the gun from her? Or did she acquire the gun on her own? I just don't know. But, when you have a family member that is severely mentally ill and stuff like this is a concern, or they've done stuff like this in the past, in my opinion, you got to make sure that there are no guns accessible. That gun is locked up, highly secured. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, most definitely. And I think that you have to take extra precautions because you never know what they're capable of. And if you may live with them in the house, but you may not be able to read them at all.
Sure.
They may have ways to get information as to how to unlock that safe.
Yeah.
Where are you hiding some? When are you home? Where are your keys to the safe if it's a key safe, right? So I think there is definitely extra precautions that need to be taken. The question is, what are they?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see the fallout with this, and because the anti-gun community loves to use stories like this as to feed their propaganda machine of why there needs to be stricter laws on storing guns or taking guns away or whatever. I'm sure that'll be coming down the pipe soon. Joe, did you see my interview with Channel 10 News today?
I did.
What'd you think?
I actually shared it on my page and my group. On social media.
Yeah.
Well, I think you handled it beautifully. I didn't particularly like the reporter. I thought her approach was, although she was listening to you, I thought her approach was very, a bit casual, right? And in a good way, you couldn't tell which way she was leaning. So she was asking good questions. I think you handled them very, very well. But I think it was wise, based on your previous experience, to have that recording, because if you don't, and they report whatever they want to report, as they've been doing excessively over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You have no leg to stand on other than backpedal to try to but now you've got it on tape. So
yeah, it's funny. Like, I've been interviewed on TV, dozens of times now, and I've realized that they'll talk to me for 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes, and they'll literally only use about a minute of a clip, right? And every time I watch these interviews afterwards, I'm like, you left out the best part of what I said. But it is because that I think what I'm saying doesn't really match the agenda of what they're trying to push, right? And kind of like what Tiff said after the interview, she was like, they just want to share enough to say, hey, we listen to the other side, but not enough that it allows the voice of what I'm saying to actually be heard. So that's why I started recording these things, because you can't trust. I think she's a nice person. I think she's a great person. Nothing bad on her. They obviously couldn't interview an entire 15-minute call with me, but anyway, yeah. All right, Joe, you said you got some stories to share with me, so let's go back and forth. What's one of your stories?
Well, I think one of the crazy ones is from late last week when the two teenagers, one of them was shot, they were shooting at each other wearing armor.
Dude, awesome, right? Oh, my gosh. What? I saw that in the paper, and I was like, you must live in Polk County.
I think it's Bellevue. I think it was the Bellevue Police Department, was, if I'm not mistaken. But so a 17-year-old shot a 16-year-old. The 16-year-old died. And there was another kid, I believe, that was taking it all on camera and actually misled law enforcement.
Oh.
So they're going to be tried as adults.
Okay.
And the stupidity and idiocy of doing that. You have a body armor, and if you go to the length of shooting 4 rounds in a row through a body armor, if you're that dumb to do that, you probably are not a very good shot either.
Yeah, that's always what shocks me with stories like this, is that you're going to trust that somebody is actually a good enough shooter to hit you in the plate. Is that like, I don't trust somebody to do that. No, man, there's no way. And I shouldn't have said that this is awesome. What I meant was it's shocking to me that this kind of stuff keeps happening. And this doesn't happen one time. This is multiple times a year. We hear stories like this of stupid people shooting themselves wearing body armor, and then they're shocked when somebody ends up dead. Do you remember, Joe? I don't know what state this happened in, but what is his name? The big YouTuber, gun guy, old dude, used to be an English teacher. You know what I'm talking about? Hickok 45. So Hickok, you know who he is?
I know the channel.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't know the story about him.
All right. So Hickok 45 filmed a video where he took a Desert Eagle 50 AE and he shot, I think it was like an encyclopedia, or it was a very thick book. So the book was basically like this thick. And let's just say the book was, I don't know how many pages. Let's just say it was 1,000 pages. So Hickok shot it, and then he opened up the book and he was like seeing how many pages did the bullet go through. And the bullet basically went to 470 pages, and then the bullet stopped, okay? So then this young guy, I think he was 18 years old or 20. He had a pregnant girlfriend who was like 8 months pregnant. He decides that he's got this baby on the way. He's got this girlfriend he's got to take care of. So he wants to launch his YouTube career, but he wants to do it with something like really big, really spectacular. So he goes out and buys a Desert Eagle 50 AE. He takes this big, thick book. He draws like a target right on the front. Tell me in the chat if you guys remember this story. He draws a target on it, and then he tells his girlfriend, shoot the book. I'm going to hold it in front of my chest. You shoot it. And she's like, this is stupid. Don't do this. This is not smart. And he said, nope, I saw it on Hickok, 45. It'll only go to 470 pages, and then the bullet's going to stop. Well, guess what happened, Joe?
It went right through it.
Bullet went all the way through the book, killed this young guy, and then the woman gets charged with second-degree murder, I believe. And I believe because she was about to have the baby, and this is probably her first offense, she did not get any prison time. I think she only got like 10 months of probation or something. It was a very small punishment. But somebody is dead because of stupidity. It's really shocking, but it happens a lot. Joe, how do we prevent stuff like that from happening in our society among gun owners?
In my opinion, it's all about making education accessible.
Okay,
whether it's, look, you can probably very, very easily find a first aid course, CPR qualification. You can find that anywhere for free in churches, in schools, in community centers around the country.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is a skill that is necessary. Everyone should know it, whether you like healthcare or you're squeamish about it. You should have the skill.
I agree.
Gun control, gun safety and responsibility should have the same priority, considering the amount of stupidity and then also accidental shootings. For example, all the kids, right? Over 5,000 kids per year are accidentally shot, and I believe about 20% of that they actually end up dead.
Yeah, it's about 1,200 end up dead every year. So why is that not a priority, right? There was this kid, this baby, this family going to a restaurant. Just saw this video, family going to a restaurant. The kid was choking. A baby was an infant choking. Okay.
She started to scream. They tried the Heimlich maneuver. The kid his eyes rolled over.
But Heimlich maneuver doesn't work on an infant, right? And they didn't know that?
No. It can work, and there is a special technique that you need to use, which is very different than an adult. But then there was one of the Good Samaritans in the restaurant went out to the car, came back, got the suction machine, and saved the baby's life.
Wow.
Right? So doing things like this where you save a baby's life because you got something that could save that life. Remember the story of this lady who went in front of Congress, and she said that there was the shooter that came into the diner.
Yes.
But because she did not have a carry permit, she didn't want to do the illegal thing. She left the gun in the car.
Okay, let me tell that story. So this happened in Texas, and this happened before concealed carry was legal in the state of Texas. So it's probably happened in like the early 80s. So she was a chiropractor at the time, and she used to carry a revolver in her purse illegally because, again, it's not even possible to get a concealed carry permit in Texas at this time. So she had been carrying her gun illegally for years in her purse. And I think somebody in her life, maybe it was her dad, kept saying, like, if you ever get caught with this, you're not going to be allowed to be a chiropractor anymore, which means your entire career is gone. Like, it's just going to be a really bad thing. So she was going to meet her parents at a diner for lunch, and she left her revolver at the office because she, like, finally is starting to think, maybe I shouldn't have this revolver if I don't have a legal right to have it, right? So while she's there, this gunman drove a vehicle into the diner. So the car just plowed through. There's like stuff everywhere. There's wounded people on the ground. And she said in her interview, I don't remember who her interview was with, but she said, we all just thought it was an accident. We thought this guy, was trying to park. He pressed the gas instead of pressing the brake, and he plowed through the wall. She said, but then he got out of the vehicle and just started shooting people. So she said she was hiding behind a table. That was her like position of concealment. And her mom was like crawling through the diner trying to get to the dad. And she said that was the moment that I realized that my dad had actually already been shot and was dead on the ground. So she said, I opened up my purse to grab my revolver. And she said, that's when I realized that I didn't have the gun that day. So I think the bad guy ended up walking up to the mom and shot and killed the mom. And eventually this daughter was able to escape. What a wild thing to have to live with for the rest of your life. Do you think she ever cared whether carrying a gun was legal or not after that?
No, and I think that she probably, this is something you're going to think back at for the rest of your life,
sure,
right? That's never going to leave you.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, I would rather have carried the gun, be there to save my parents, and go to jail if need be, and save how many other lives. Then if I could turn the clock, I would do it.
Yeah.
Any day, any time. She's going to live with this for the rest of her life. And that's why she's an advocate. That's why she's in front of Congress speaking about this and speaking, in favor of gun rights.
Yeah. Yeah, really crazy, man. All right, so I got another crazy story. This is a man who has been wanted for double murder. Let's see, how long ago was this? So this would be 36 years ago. I was 2 years old when this man committed a double murder and has been on the run and just recently got caught.
Cold case cracked. A man is arrested in Tampa for a double murder committed back in 1985.
NBC6 reporter Marissa Bagg joins us live from Little Havana, where the double murder took place.
That's a good-looking dude.
40 years ago, Marissa?
That's what happens when you smoke meth, man.
That's right, Trina and Jackie. It really seems like things had to fall into place just so for this double murder suspect, I should say, to end up in custody after all these years. One thing that hasn't changed, though, the appearance of the apartment building where it all happened. This looks much like it did in August of 1985 when two men were murdered here in apartment number 4. A 1985 cold case is heating up again in Little Havana after a chance encounter led to the arrest of accused killer Lazaro Santana. The 79-year-old suspect allegedly shot and killed two of his friends in this apartment building along Northwest 9th Street near 23rd Avenue back on August 21st of 1985.
Santana walks into an apartment where both victims are at and shoots them fatally, flees the scene, but luckily we have witnesses that has total accounts of what took place.
Pedro Otero and Carlos Romero were shot to death when Santana allegedly walked into their unit and opened fire. According to the 85 arrest warrant, Santana and Romero had committed a robbery, and Santana refused to split the proceeds with Romero. Police say Romero took stuff from Santana's apartment with the help of Otero, and Santana got so upset he shot and killed them both. Now he's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. In bond court today, the judge mentioned the case is so old, the police report was written up with a typewriter.
This is how old this case is, State. It's on legal side typed paper.
Apparently, Santana had been living in Tampa. Last month, Tampa police.
What a super crazy story. Tiff says in the chat, you know, that he got away with it all these years. Kind of sucks that he's not going to prison till he's 80. You know, what I found really intriguing as I was reading about this story online is that this dude has been living his life for 36 years. He's been interacting with people, talking to people, and people just didn't even know that this guy is a murderer. It sounds like he may or may not be homeless now in Tampa. I really don't know. What are your thoughts on that story, Joe?
Well, the saying 1985, the 2 things. Number one, it was the height of the cocaine and the cocaine era, right?
Okay,
so
yeah.
Scarface time.
Yeah.
So the likelihood is that it could have something connected to that. And I don't think anyone at that time would likely be brave enough, unless they're criminals, right? Brave enough to go and say anything. Who knows what threats, who knows who he belonged to, who he worked with. But the police officer said something that they were fortunate that there were witnesses that saw the whole thing. Well, then why did it take 35 years for them to come forward?
Well, no, so it didn't. So, and again, let's just remind the viewers here, Joe and I can't hear the story because I haven't figured out how to turn that technology on yet. So only you guys can hear it, and then we just got to kind of make it up afterwards. But so what happened, Joe, is 3 guys committed a robbery. The murderer, the guy that just got arrested for murder, refused to divide up the loot among the other 2 robbers. So he decided to keep it all for himself, allegedly. So then the other 2 decided to break into the murderer's apartment and steal a bunch of stuff as their way to get payback for the fact that he's not divvying up the loot, right? So then he was mad that they stole from him, so he walked into their apartment, gunned them down, and killed them. So it's all just, this is very similar, if you guys remember the shooting that happened in Lakeland in 2020, where a man killed 3 fishermen right on the street in Lakeland. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So the way that entire story went down is those entire group of men, the bad guy and the victims, they all went out and stole a car. And then they sold the car allegedly for money. And then one guy kept all the money and didn't give it to, or didn't give a fair share to the other ones. So then the guy that didn't get what he believed was his fair share, years later, found these guys and gunned them down right in the middle of the street. I'm pretty sure. Oh, Frostproof. Okay, Tiff. Frostproof and Lakeland, pretty close together. But yeah, you're right. Frostproof. Insert awkward silence. What do you think, Joe?
In terms of the video we just watched or the Lakeland story?
All of it.
Hello, Ryan?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Talking about the story we just heard?
Yeah, what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, my thoughts is that, again, it's 1995. It's the middle of the cocaine situation, right? The cocaine era. I think that anyone at that time, I think shooting people in the streets and having guns illegally and committing these type of crimes was a daily occurrence.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me at all. And I don't care how much gun control you're going to put in place. These type of incidents with these type of people will never end.
Yeah.
So the only thing it benefits is the gun control groups using things that cannot be changed to try to blame the people that don't do them for what's happening.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. After I sent the email out today about the interview that I had, I got a lot of responses back. So thank you to everybody that responded back, because, you know, I don't know if you guys like the stuff I put out really all the time. So got a lot of responses back. Shoot, where was I going with this? And shit, what was I going to say? Somebody responded back and said, you know, what people are not thinking about, or what this interviewer was not really thinking about, is that, you know, criminals are criminals. Criminals do bad stuff. And what is the result if you're going to put serial numbers on a gun, or if you're going to force a firearm registration, or you're going to ban assault weapons or whatever? How is that actually going to reduce violence? And the answer is, in my opinion, it doesn't, because criminals don't care that there's a law. Somebody that's willing to go commit murder doesn't care if it's illegal to grind a serial number off of a handgun. They're already committing murder. Like, an ATF violation is not a big concern to them. But for some reason, these politicians, they keep promoting more and more laws, more and more policies that never actually fix the real problem, which is what I think is just really, really foolish.
I think a perfect example of what you just said, Ryan, is if you recall whether it was last week or the weekend before last, when there was this shooting in Sacramento.
Yeah.
There was a fight, and then it broke into a gunfight, and some people got killed because it got out of control. Joe Biden went right up there and say, we must do more, and we must stop talking and act. And he put together a list of things that we should be doing, or the government should be doing, to curb gun violence. If you look at the list of things that he was talking about, those gun laws already exist and are in force. Well, they're not being enforced, but they are in force in the state of California.
Sure, I know. That's what was so interesting about the fact that this happened in California, is that they have such strict gun laws. If your gun laws actually worked, this shooting wouldn't have happened. But again, criminals don't care about gun laws. They're criminals. They do criminal stuff. They just don't care.
Not to mention that Los Angeles is the slowest urban city with police response time of over 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know.
5 minutes and 7 seconds is the average response time.
Okay.
For police in LA. So if you think about a criminal coming into your house,
mm-hmm.
how long it takes, and you talk about that in so many videos, right? How long does it take for a criminal, for a crime to take place?
Yeah, and for them to hurt you, hurt your family, I mean, it's seconds, right?
It's seconds, and help is minutes away. And even though it's, help is just minutes away, no. Crime scene investigation is minutes away.
Exactly.
Because when they come 5 minutes in, even if they arrive 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and they're coming after the fact, they're just arriving there.
Yeah.
It's not 4 minutes from the time law enforcement arrives there and actually comes in and saves the day. They have to assess the situation. They have to wait. What if they have to wait for backup?
You know, Joe, I don't remember where this conversation occurred. This may have happened in one of my concealed carry classes, but I'm pretty sure this happened in our gun store. But I was talking to a Tampa police officer about, you know, if there's a shooting, if there's a stabbing, whatever, what do you guys do? Like, do you charge into the house and do you do it? And this guy, he flat out said to me, Joe, he was like, I'm not going in the house. He's like, there's no way I'm going in. Well, I'll set up a perimeter and we'll wait for a SWAT team or more people to show up. But I'm not going in and getting a gunfight. He specifically said to me, I'm there to write the report. And I was like, you probably shouldn't be a police officer, okay? Because that is like your job, okay? When a car is on fire and a person is trapped in it, it is your job, that's what you signed up for, to charge up to that car and risk dying or getting severely burned to save that person in the vehicle. That's what you signed up for. If somebody's in a house, woman's in a house getting raped, getting stabbed to death or whatever, it is your job to go in there and do something. And if you don't think that that is your job, again, this is my opinion, you should go be an accountant. You should go work at Home Depot, okay? Because being in law enforcement is probably not the right career choice for you.
So I think it goes to show, and even if I'm not mistaken, I believe I watched the Collier Noir video where he actually quoted a government official saying, and I don't know if it was a Congress judgment or something, he wasn't specific. He said, the government tells you that the one responsible for your own safety is you. You're your own first responder. Yet, they want to take the one of the means, the main means of us being able to protect ourselves, because they will keep us safe.
Sure.
And there is nothing other than words and the stupidity of the gullible to make it an issue.
Yeah, but I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going, Joe.
No, go ahead.
This is the hypocrisy of our quote unquote, hopefully you guys can see my hands, quote unquote leaders, is that they say a wall is racist, but yet our president is building a wall around the White House. I'm sure you know about that, Joe, right?
Yes.
So for 4 years, we heard that walls are racist, and they're putting a wall around the White House. Walls are racist, but Nancy Pelosi has a wall around her house with armed guards. And when a bunch of protesters climbed over her wall, guess what they did, Joe? You're probably thinking they invited him in for like some cocoa and some tea and some of her expensive ice cream out of her $100,000 refrigerator. But you would be wrong, Joe. That is not what they did. They did not invite them in.
I'm shocked. I really thought that was 100% the case.
I know, that's what I would have thought too. They actually asked them to leave because they did not have a right to be there. I know your mind is probably blown right now.
It is. It's amazing that they would even know any aspect of the law in the Constitution.
But see, to be on a serious note, these are the people like Mike Bloomberg, right? So that tell us that we, the people, do not need a gun to protect ourselves. We don't need an AR-15 to protect ourselves. But yet they walk around with a private security detail that they pay millions of dollars a year to travel with them, secure their home, protect their family. And they don't have Nerf guns. They have handguns, high capacity, by the way. And they have carbines. So it's the elite saying, you commoners don't need this, but we need it because we're better than you. And that's why the Second Amendment was put into the Constitution, because we needed to make it very, very clear that this is not about just the elites having something. This is about everybody having it, right?
And you know what? Talking about high-capacity magazines, so I saw another story where a woman was on the phone with her husband. She was at home with the kids. She called her husband because there was an intruder coming into the house.
Okay.
The husband called 911. And so the 911, the husband are on the phone with the wife. She goes and hides in the attic.
Oh, my God.
The criminal comes there. She shoots him 5 times in the face and neck. He survives, runs out of the house, gets into his SUV, and drives away and crashes down the block.
Wow. So that story just goes to show, like, movies and TV have made people have this false belief that when you shoot somebody, they're going to immediately fly off their feet. They're going to fly through a brick wall. They're like instantly dead. And that story just goes to prove the point that that's not what happens. When you shoot somebody, they do not always know that they've been shot. And it takes more than just a couple rounds to stop a threat.
And that's where the whole argument of multiple intruders, right? We know, and we have seen plenty of videos where there are 2, 3, or 4 intruders coming into the house. If all you have is a revolver with 6 rounds, 5 or 6 rounds, you are
screwed
if they have at least either they are armed as well or have the guts to crowd you, right? Or you run out of bullets and you got 3 more people there.
Yeah.
Waiting to see what happens, waiting for you to come out.
Not to mention
thinking everything is clear.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that statistically, a average shooter is going to miss their target 86% of the time they shoot in self-defense. So if you're going to miss, so that's based on a study that was done on the New York Police Department, which is the largest law enforcement agency in the country, I guess, largest police department in the country. FBI's largest law enforcement. Largest police department, and their officers, Joe, have to go through 120 or 150 hours of firearms training before they can become a police officer in NYPD. So somebody who has 120 hours of firearms training will on average miss their target 86% of the time they shoot in self-defense. But for some random reason, most gun owners think because they watched a YouTube video, they're ready for a self-defense situation.
And if you recall the incident that just happened also a couple of months ago in California, where in the shopping mall, where this guy was beat this lady with a chain, and the police officer came with an AR-15, shot, missed one of the times, and hit a 14-year-old girl in the dressing room right behind that perpetrator.
Oh, I do remember this story. Yeah.
And killed that 14-year-old girl. So, and you're not talking about a long distance, especially with a rifle. But this is not. Now, this officer came in there, and we saw the video on actually one of your lives, one of your Monday Night Lives. This poor guy is going to have to live with this for the rest of his life because we know it wasn't his intention. With all the training they have, under such stress, I cannot imagine. I've been held at gunpoint and knife point before, and I didn't have a gun at that time, right? I was 16 the first time, and I was 25 when I was held at gunpoint on 7th Avenue in New York City.
Okay.
1992.
I thought, hold on, Joe. I'm very confused. I thought guns were illegal to possess in New York City.
Well, I didn't possess them.
No, but the bad guy had it. So how would a bad guy ever get a gun if there's a law that says guns are illegal? I'm super confused.
He must have had a connection at the local porn shop. And I mean porn shop, not pawn shop.
It must have been a ghost gun.
Must have been. I mean, there's so many good reasons why that criminal should have had that gun.
Yeah.
But it isn't fun. And I tell you, I was scared as hell. I had my girlfriend with me, and I put her behind me. But I tell you, I was crapping in my pants at that point.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of owning a gun way after. I mean, again, in New York, it wasn't even a conversation at that time, right?
Yeah.
It was one of the worst times in New York. So right before Giuliani came in and cleaned it up, after that, it was a completely different world. But if I was in a situation where I had to pull out my gun, and I don't know if I would even had a chance to do it, the police officer with all the training missed and killed the kid. So to think that to pull out a gun and shoot somebody, like you said, like in the movies, and people are just drop dead, and we get them right in 2 to the body and 1 to the head. When you and I do drills, right, at the range sometimes, and we do those speed drills, on a paper target, it's stationary.
And the only stress that exists is the stress of the shot timer, right?
That's right.
Okay, keep going.
That's right. That's the only stress. And yet, I'm not 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because that stress of the shot timer, that simulates, it does simulate a little bit of stress. And I know a lot of you on here are signed up for the Sheepdog Masterclass course that's going to happen on April 22nd, I believe. I think we got a bunch of people that signed up, but we only got 5 people scheduled for the 22nd. So we still got room for one more if anybody still wants to get in. And Joe, I was going to ask you if you wanted to come and be like my assistant instructor, because it'll kind of help you a little bit when you start teaching this class. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to.
Yeah, let me know. It's on a Friday also?
Friday, yeah, from 3 to 6.
Yeah, just let me know. Let me know when. I'll make sure that I'm available. And
Okay.
For anyone thinking about it, I can tell you that was one fun, challenging class. That was awesome.
Yeah, it really puts it makes you realize that what you think you're able to do when somebody's actually really pushing you and saying, go faster, and you better fire 6 shots in 3 seconds accurately at that target that's 7 yards away. Dude, that puts a lot of pressure, and it makes you realize just because you can target shoot, precision shooting at a range doesn't mean you can do what we're going to do in this class. You'll be able to do it afterwards, but in the beginning it's challenging. But my point is that simulated pressure, right, of having a group of people watch you, of having me standing there holding that shot timer, analyzing everything that you're doing, that's nothing compared to the fact of some scumbag coming into your job and opening fire with a gun. It's going to be very different. We've got to put ourselves in these situations, simulate that stress now, so that, God forbid, if that day ever comes when it happens in real life, we're actually a little bit ready, right? We don't want to be in that moment and be like, crap, I wish I would have done a little more training, right?
Well, I can tell you, here's what I try to do to increase the stress. I know I go training with Dan Bricchetto. I know he's on the call, and one of the nicest, most awesome guys, and he's also so much fun to train with. Another student of Ryan, I met him through Ryan, right? We did a lot of work together and training together, and he and I always try to simulate trigger discipline, using the timer, trying to challenge different skills, transition between targets, and doing all that. And we put it on video, and we put them out on our pages and in our groups, because we want to discuss our imperfections and know how to diagnose our issues. And in that class, what is nice is you're being watched by a bunch of people. And not at any point I can say that my extremities, right, the sensitivity in the end of your fingers, right, to all the small extremities, what they say from all the self-defense situations, that you don't feel them. You have tunnel vision and all that, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I never felt that. No matter how much stress there is at the range, I feel the competitive stress.
Sure.
Right? But never did I not feel my extremities, right? I could feel the trigger and I could do all that, and I wasn't necessarily sweating unless it's the middle of August and the ventilation doesn't work.
Yeah. Which is common.
But one of the things that I do, and if someone wants to try, it's a little nuts, but I can tell you that is probably one of the most stressful drills that I do at the range, is I actually have a picture of the person I love the most in the world, where I cannot imagine my life without them.
Yeah.
And so when I do the hostage drill on my own at the range, I put that picture on the head or the face of the hostage. And when I see that picture, when you love someone enough that you tear just thinking about them, and now you actually have to make a shot, even on a paper target, it is pretty difficult.
Yeah, that's a very interesting tactic, Joe. I think that's very smart. I think I should incorporate that into this training course in the future. You know, it's funny, Tiffany, we have golf carts, right? And we as a family love to drive around on golf carts. And I say golf carts plural because we loved our golf carts so much. Tiff and I actually just bought a second one. It's pretty sad. We're starting a gang here in Valrico called Los Cohetes, which for all that you don't know means firecracker. But that's we're not talking about that right now. So anyway, Tiff had a dream the other day that Lincoln was riding on the golf cart and he fell off and just died. that she was giving him CPR, he turned blue, and he just died. So then like that later that day, we're getting all these big boxes from Amazon. And I'm like, what the hell is this stuff? And she's like, I bought helmets. I got these new seatbelts I want you to install. And she's like, Ryan, I want you to wear a helmet when you're driving the golf cart. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, Tiff. Like, I'm just not. If you want to make the kids do it, that's fine. But it's funny how the emotional trigger of her having that dream, which again, even me hearing the dream makes me upset. It makes my stomach hurt. Like it's not something you ever want to think about, a kid, your own child dying, right? But that motivated a very extreme action on Tiffany's part. And I think incorporating that into the training would motivate you to train harder, to focus more, and to really put forth your best effort, right?
And I can tell you that it works even when you don't have the picture, but if someone is willing to work with you. So when I have my students come, even for the concealed carry, and they're all nervous.
Yeah.
And we go through the safety and we go through the dry fire portion for a couple of minutes. And when they get that feel on the dry fire, when we pull the trigger and we have all the fundamentals there. And so I say, you know that feel, right? So that is the only thing I want you to do is just repeat that feeling with live ammo. Don't change anything. Just do exactly just let the firearm do what it needs to do. You already know what you need to do. Let the firearm do it. So they do the first 2-3 shots. And for the most part, they're somewhere on the target, right?
Yeah.
But then you say to them, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to think of the person. Do you have someone you really, really love that you cannot imagine your life without? And everybody says yes. And I say, I want you to imagine that target is holding them hostage. And the only way to save them is by an accurate shot. You only have one shot. And I usually do the very last shot of the class.
Okay.
You only have one shot left. I want you to not rush, take your time, breathe, do all these different, and take the shot. And I tell you, it is without fail right in that bullseye area. 9 to 10.
That's awesome.
9 to 10. 9 to 10. It doesn't matter if they shoot a revolver. It doesn't matter if it's the first time they ever shot. It doesn't matter if they're experienced. It changes the entire dynamic. Now, I don't know what it would be like if I actually put a picture of the person they love there. They might get a little, but it works because they take it in. It's now, it's no longer just a paper target.
Yeah, it moves from being a game, right, to like, This is real life stuff, right? Real emotion. I think that's powerful. I think that's smart. I always like ending the classes on like a positive note. So I try to push people and make things difficult in the middle of the training. And then at the end, like I want them to take some shots where I know they're going to be very accurate and it's going to be good. But I'm going to try that. I think that's very smart. I think that's a great strategy to really push people and make them understand that we're not, some people are doing this for fun. But I think the people that are in like our kind of community here, the Sheepdog movement, I think we're doing this for a different reason. We're doing this because we want to be able to do something. I just had you guys know that when my students come into the class, I ask everybody why they want to carry a gun. And I asked this woman, and she said, this was on Saturday, younger woman, I would say she was probably like late 20s, maybe early 30s, but she's got like 3 or 4 kids, all under the age of like 6. And she said she just got attacked at a Walmart. And she said, so I asked her, what happened? And that's when she started tearing up. And I felt bad for asking her at that point, right? Because I was like, oh, crap, I just made a lady cry in the middle of a bunch of people, right? But she said, I was in the Walmart. I have my kids. And, when you have lots of children or any children that are under the age of 6, it's kind of like trying to herd cats. They're just running around. They're grabbing stuff, touching stuff. And like 90% of your time is trying to keep the kids to obey. And then the other 5% is trying to shop. So this predator saw that she was distracted trying to herd the children. And he started watching. So she walked around the store. She's trying to like lose him. She'd walk down random kid aisles and just trying to see if the guy would go away. But he wouldn't. He stayed near her, always watching. So she called her husband and said, you know, this is what's happening. You need to get to this Walmart fast. You know, I'm scared, whatever. But then this woman made a very critical mistake. Before her husband arrived, she decided to pay for the groceries, and she said the man was right behind her, didn't even have anything to pay for, but he just stood in the checkout line as if he was paying for something, which is weird, right, Joe? Super weird.
Yes.
So then she walks out to her car. She gets her children safely in the vehicle, but now she's got to get all this stuff that's in her shopping cart into her vehicle. And as she's putting it into the vehicle, this guy comes out of nowhere, grabs her, and forcibly is trying to put her inside of his vehicle. So praise God, as this scumbag is like attacking her and trying to kidnap her, the husband pulls up, and also, thankfully, because of his quick thinking, he dialed 911, and the police arrived at the exact same time the husband did. So the man got arrested, the woman's safe, the children are safe, but she almost got kidnapped. I think that bad guy, if the bad guy would have gone after kidnapping a child, I don't think the mother would have stood a chance to try to protect the children. But it just goes to show that the wolves are watching, and they're waiting, right? They're waiting patiently for that right moment to strike. And, you know, many times I kind of, I don't know what I said to her exactly, but I kind of said, like, ma'am, I'm going to be a little aggressive with you, okay? So what you did was not smart, okay? When you see a predator like that, do not go outside, okay? They are evil people. So you need to walk up, and I said, you guys are probably going to call me sexist for saying this, but I don't care. You need to walk up to a man in that Walmart, an employee, a manager, somebody, and you need to tell them what's happening. You need to get a man to escort you to your car. Listen, I would love it. I know you would too, Joe. If a mother came up and said, this guy is scaring me, can you walk into my car to make sure I'm safe? What are you going to say, Joe?
Absolutely.
I'm in, right? I will help you. That's what I live to do. But she did what a lot of people do, is she probably thought, I'm overreacting. You know, I'm maybe, you know, I don't know what race this other person was. Maybe I'm being racist. Maybe I'm being discriminatory or whatever. We got to trust our instincts. We got to trust our gut. And if something is telling you this is a bad person, we need to stay in a public place. What are your thoughts on that?
I think instincts, I don't second guess my instincts. I've rarely ever been wrong about my instincts. And I'm not talking about people. I can be wrong in having a first impression and then being wrong about that. I'm talking about in terms of something that isn't right about the place I'm in, the environment I'm in, and something just doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. I don't want to sit there and analyze and try to have a moral conversation with myself as to whether I'm being racist or I'm being paranoid or no. There's something not right here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stick around to find out what's going on. I'm going to get out of this place and I'm going to come back another day.
Yeah.
Right. So I think my thoughts on that is if he doesn't feel right, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, you know, we live in a society today where society is trying to tell us that it is not acceptable to judge people. I think that's 100% wrong. I think the way the human brain works, you know, the human brain consumes more energy than any other organ inside of your body. And the way the brain stays alive and prevents burning too many calories is by creating shortcuts, right? And that's how an example of this is if you guys have ever driven home from work, you pull into your driveway and then you realize you remember nothing about driving. I literally was on I-275, drove home, and then I woke up in my driveway and I was like, oh my gosh, how did I make it on I-4 all the way home through traffic, 80 miles an hour, and I don't remember anything? It's because my brain went into a subconscious kind of state, right? So our brain does that. It's a survival mechanism. We are smart. Trust your instincts. When you see something that looks like a wolf, it's probably a wolf. Let's not pretend they're a good person. It's okay to, I think I've shared this story lots, right? But I go for a walk in the morning, and in our old neighborhood, I would walk around our big subdivision, which was like 2 miles. And listen, Joe, you know I'm a good person. I'm not interested in hurting anybody. But as I'm walking, there's this little old lady who's probably like 80 or whatever. She had a cane, and she's walking towards me on the same sidewalk, right? And once we got to like 20 feet away, the lady picks up the cane, so she's holding it with both hands like this. And I remember thinking to myself, this lady's going to hit me. And then as we walked a little bit closer, she like walked in the road so she didn't have to walk near me. Something about me scared her. I know that I would never hurt her. My job is to protect her. But she's trusting her instincts, and her instincts are saying, don't walk too close to this man. I would much rather have somebody do that than put themselves in a dangerous situation.
You can't take things like that personally, because people don't do anything because of you. It's something internal to them. It's an experience they may have had in the past. It's something they may have experienced in their childhood, or I'm no psychologist, but I think it's fair to say that if someone reacts to you a certain way, especially when they've never seen you before or spoken to you before, know nothing about you, and you are not the usual person in their life, they may have a reaction to something that had happened before.
Sure.
Maybe someone similar to you that hurt them before, or made them uncomfortable before, or hurt someone they know. And so you resemble that, they're going to react to that.
Sure.
So I think it's important not to take things like that personally. And I think that when someone acts like that, probably the best thing to do is not to approach, give them the space they're looking for, say good afternoon, and move on your way, but not take it personally.
No, what I did, I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not, but as the lady was walking by me, once we got close, I went like that, and she fell over.
Are you serious?
No, I'm joking.
Okay.
I would never do that to a little old lady. I'd do that to a kid. I would do that to a kid. I wouldn't do that to a grown-up. All right, so final story of the evening. This is really sad, but this is oh, shoot. I guess my picture is not working. So this is a young 15-year-old girl. I don't know how to share this picture. I guess I'll get Tiff, if you can post this picture on the Tampa Carry Facebook page. Young 15-year-old girl. She was last seen this morning walking to school, and apparently got abducted, allegedly, in Port St. Lucie. 5 feet 5 inches tall. She was 120 pounds. Brown hair. She was last wearing jeans and a long sleeve gray shirt. You know, it's super crazy, man. Kidnappings and abductions are happening every single day. And we've got to really understand, not live in a bubble. This bad stuff does happen. We need to make sure we talk to our children immediately. Oh, is she safe? Tiffany is texting me and saying she's safe now. Okay. Is that accurate, Tiff? Oh, she is found safe. Okay. Woo. Well, that's a miracle.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah. Tiffany posted it earlier this afternoon.
Okay. Yeah. So again, though, like, it doesn't change the story here. This girl's safe, but a lot of people are not. We need to really think outside the box, not allow, we got to pay attention, keep our distance. I tell my children that I don't care who it is, but if a grown-up is walking up to you, run away from them. Come home. If a grown-up in our neighborhood needs to speak to you, they can talk to me first. Now, there's a couple exceptions. Some of our neighbors we're good friends with. If Mr. Adam next door wants to talk to you, talk to Mr. Adam, because I absolutely trust Adam. But other people, run. You don't need to speak to them. Come home, and they can come here if they want to talk to you. It's a conversation that we don't ever want to have with our children. It's kind of like having the molestation talk, but it's a conversation that is so necessary because we just never know when it's going to happen.
And if he does, you never want to look back and say, if I only had that conversation then. You don't want that. You don't want to be in that position. That's guilt you'll never outlive.
You know, I've never really shared this story. I don't know why. There wasn't a reason I never shared it, but somebody tried to kidnap my sister in Las Vegas. So she was walking home from high school and a car pulled up, and she was probably 16, 17 years old. Car pulled up and it was a man, and he said, "Hey, let me give you a ride home." You know, Vegas is very, very hot during the summer. And she said, "No, I'm okay. I'll walk." And then the guy pulled up on the curb so she couldn't even walk by anymore. He opened up the door and he had a handgun that he pointed the pistol at her and said, "Get in the car or I'll kill you." Now, what's interesting is Haley said, "I almost got in the car because I was afraid of getting shot." And thankfully, she decided not to get in the car and she ran the different direction and like ran through some side streets until she got home. Tiff and I were talking about this the other day. You know, if you get into the vehicle, you are dead. Okay? No questions. You're either dead or you're sold into sex slavery the rest of your life, but your life is over. If the guy has a gun and he shoots at you, he might hit you. You might die. But if you get into the car, you're dead. Does that make sense, everybody? At least,
or your life is ruined.
Or your life is ruined, right? You're going to be smuggled to some other country and be chained and drugged and have sex with random creepy people for the rest of your life. Take the chance. Run. It's better than getting into the vehicle. But again, it goes to show the mindset, the intimidation, right? Where they say, "I'm going to shoot you," or "I'm going to shoot your family members," or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's scary. It's scary to even think that this kind of stuff happens.
A guy like that is not going to shoot his own car.
Okay, maybe. I don't know.
So, yeah. No, if you take the chance and get out of the way,
yeah,
and he has to go back and shoot, from behind, he's going to shoot his own window, his own car.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey guys, we really appreciate you. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for Tiffany for being in the chat. Everybody for being here super, super late. If you guys live in the Sarasota, Bradenton area, you're looking for the greatest gun instructor this side of the Mississippi, go to execgun.com. So that's EXEC gun.com. And Joe will help you out. Joe is absolutely amazing. I trust him more than I trust most people. He's become a good friend of mine, and I really do believe that he'll provide you with amazing firearms training. And Joe, just remember, when you pay me for all those kind words I just said, make the check out to Ryan G. Thomas.
I was actually concerned you left it so late. I thought that everything I did pay you would be for nothing.
Oh, okay.
So right. I'm glad you remembered.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey guys, thanks for watching. We greatly appreciate you. If you haven't already claimed your free copy of my best-selling book, Florida Concealed Carry Law, go grab your copy right now at, oh man, none of my damn things are working tonight. FloridaConcealedCarryLaw.com. You can grab your copy and we'll ship it out right away. Thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, be safe.
Good night, everyone.